A very good evening to all of you. Welcome to DAKSH's annual Constitution Day lecture. For those of you who are not familiar with DAKSH, we are a think tank based in Bangalore working on upholding the rule of law through public institutions. I'm Leah, the research manager at DAKSH. Today, we are gathered here to reflect on one of the most important institutions of our democracy, the Election Commission of India. As we mark this year's Constitution Day, it's the perfect time to reflect on how the Election Commission helps to uphold constitutional values. The title of today's lecture is The Role of the Election Commission as a Guardian of Democracy, and it will be delivered by Dr. S.Y. Qureshi. Today's lecture invites us to look closely at the Commission's responsibilities and the many challenges it faces. It's a cliche to say that elections are fundamental to our democracy, but elections don't happen in a vacuum. They require trust, they require fairness, and above all, they require integrity. And it is the Election Commission that is at the heart of the system that helps to enable all this. The Election Commission is tasked with ensuring that every vote is counted and that every citizen can exercise their right to franchise. Today, we are honored to welcome Dr. S.Y. Qureshi, who was formerly India's Chief Election Commissioner, to deliver today's lecture. He has guided India through several major elections and brings deep insights into how the Commission works, what strengthens it, and what challenges it faces. Prior to joining the Election Commission, Dr. Qureshi was Secretary, Ministry of Youth Affairs and Sports, Government of India, and Special Secretary, Health, and Director General of the National AIDS Control Organization. Dr. Qureshi also pioneered India's biggest AIDS awareness program, an IEC campaign, Universities Talk AIDS. This evening, Dr. Qureshi will explore many questions that matter to all of us. How does the Election Commission preserve its autonomy? What new pressures, political, social, and even technological, challenge its work? I invite all of you to listen and reflect deeply. This is a space for open conversation on the health of our democracy. Thank you once again for joining us for today's lecture. With this, I'd like to invite Dr. Qureshi on stage.
Thank you very much. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I was very worried about this topic. You know, I have two sets of speeches, two sets of lectures. If it is in front of the media, it's a different speech. If it is the Chatham House rules in a closed door with the academics and intellectuals, it's a different speech. So I was looking at this title, and my friend in the audience said there should have been a question mark. Is it a guardian of democracy? Now, it is very awkward for me to be commenting on my successors because, people might say, look, you were also there, what do you think your tenure was and what did you do, and now you're criticizing. But my dilemma is that I have two reasons to speak. One, that I'm a citizen of India like you and concerned citizen. Secondly, this great institution, which was mentioned in the introduction also, I also laid a brick or two in its construction, and it used to be one of the, still regarded very highly the world over. So, therefore, if I am critical, please forgive me, because that is why perhaps I've been called. If it otherwise the public relations officer of Election Commission would have done a better job. They would have given you a good, nice, positive lecture. I have done a PowerPoint. Normally I avoid PowerPoint, but there are some photographs which I wanted to show you, which are interesting. So let me start with that right away. The role of Election Commission as a guardian of democracy. Yes, Election Commission must be a guardian of democracy. There is no doubt about that statement. Whether it is or it is not, we will see as we progress. So, if more than 7 decades of India's election, India has conducted 18 general elections to the Lok Sabha and about 500 elections to various state assemblies. And we have more than 3 million elected representatives. The maximum about 30 lakhs in the Panchayati Raj level. After that, MLAs are 4,120 and 543 Lok Sabha MPs. Then India's highlight has been that we have never ever missed the deadline even by a day. Suppose we are not able to conduct elections to a state assembly for one day, there has to be a precedent rule imposed there for that day or for those few days. Therefore, we have to be ready with the new house at least a week before the term of the current house ends. And and some of these slides and memories are only of my time. So please, I already sought your forgiveness. I'm not highlighting the great things we done. Barack Obama labeled that election as an example for all of us, historic election, an example. Hillary Clinton described India's election as gold standard. Then, how are we guardians of democracy? First of all, the India's diversity. India is perhaps the most diverse country in the world. Almost all the major religions, they're all here. Most of them were born here. Then, in ethnically, culturally, geographically, there's so much of a variety. And in such a situation, in such a diverse situation, inclusivity becomes a very critical, crucial issue. Then in this scenario, none has to be marginalized. We have been observing National Voters' Day on 25th of January every year. And every year, the theme is no, not one voter to be left behind, or something inclusive in democracy, something like that. But I will repeat the word, not one voter should be left behind, which is what the current election commission in the last the National Voters' Day, their theme was this only. Whether they are really honoring that theme, their own theme, that is what we will see. Now, there are constitutional safeguards for minorities. Again, India is a land of minorities. Everybody is a minority. Which is the biggest minority? Quickly, somebody? Women, 49%, with all kinds of problems and discrimination. So we have to make sure that no discrimination against any minority of any kind is possible. Even Hindus are minority in Kashmir, in Punjab, in Northeast. Therefore, everybody in India is a minority, and Constitution provides safeguards for these minorities. And as I mentioned, religious, linguistic, ethnic, cultural, all kinds of things for these minorities. No intimidation is allowed by Constitution is allowed. Legal protection to pluralism. Currently a dirty word, but that is the highlight of the beauty of India's constitution and India's the political system. Now, talking of inclusivity, I will already mention. Now, interestingly, when the framers of the constitution adopted the current constitution, women were given equal, men and women were given equal voting rights from day one. You might think, what is the big deal? But if I tell you that the in world's greatest democracy currently, USA, how many years they took to give equal voting rights to women? 144 years. Mother of modern democracy, UK took 100 years. And here was a poor, illiterate country with 84% illiteracy, which gave equal voting rights to women from day one. The Western world was aghast when we chose democracy with universal vote. That these guys have gone mad. The democracy will flop. Or let's see what happens, how they function. And very first election was a wonderful election conducted by my remote predecessor, Mr. Sukumar Sen, an ICS officer from Bengal. In fact, there was no media those days, and not to talk of social media. So therefore, he's the unsung hero. 80% of what we do even today is what he laid the foundation for, the system which he built from scratch. There was nothing. And he did it, and salute to him. My earlier book, India's experiment with democracy is dedicated to Mr. Sukumar Sen, and also to Mr. C.N. Session, who made it visible, and to the Constitution of India. The disabled, we have more than 1 million, 10 lakh polling stations, normally in government schools and dilapidated buildings, but we create a ramp for a disabled person if he needs a wheelchair, or there are facilities for a blind person to be accompanied by a companion, and so on. Illiterate. Elections have been illiterate friendly from day one. They innovated by creating symbols. Now they can't read the name of the candidate, they cannot read the name of the party, but they recognize a chair, the table, a lamp, and fan. So these were the symbols which were created to make sure that the illiterates are able to vote. And this is one of the marvels, very small thing, but it's a very significant thing which the world acknowledges. Because since I travel all over the world, and from the feedback I realize that they invariably ask questions on this. Now, transgender. This was in our times. Please seek forgiveness because I'll be referring to my time because that is my experience. So we got a representation from the transgenders of Madhya Pradesh that they're not able to register in the electoral roll because our form has two questions, one question on gender and only two options available, male or female. They were neither, so they left the column blank, and with the result for incomplete form, they were rejected. Believe me, it took us just 1 minute to decide, okay, look, yes, they are citizens of India, the fairly sizable number, they are entitled to vote. We created a third gender, which we called for other. Later on, 5 years later, it went to the Supreme Court, and Supreme Court also independently gave to the. It was not an appeal against our order or without any reference. They also upheld this, that the transgender have a right, and they created what is called third gender, T instead of O, which is the practice which continues. Now, the largest election in world history happened last year. If we just look at the size, 98 crore voters and 11 lakh plus polling stations, 2 million electronic machines, and 15 million polling personnel which were deployed, and all government servants. Now, 15 million is more than population of 50, 60, 70 countries of the world, and that is our staff, all government servants, whom you normally would call inefficient, lazy, and corrupt. But under the election commission, they deliver a perfect election with clockwork precision every time, every year. So, and there again, our unsung heroes. Like you are hearing about the BLO, the frontline workers, what is happening to them. So they are the people who conduct the elections. So she is the face of the commission, but there is a whole team behind us. Then we have recognized national parties, number six, there are six in number, recognized state parties 67, and registered parties 2600 plus, but that was the number yesterday. Today it must have been higher, and candidates who contested in the last election. So now one thing which 99% media, 99% of politicians also don't know, because they make this mistake. What is the difference between a recognized party and a registered party? Registered party, it used to be 30 people, now I believe it is 100 people. Any 100 people get together, file an application, an advertisement will be published in 2-3 newspapers compulsorily, and after that you are registered. Simple. So these are the registered. And recognized parties are those which have done some recognized poll electoral performance, at least 6% of the vote. I have an interesting anecdote. I must keep promoting my book, by the way. The first book I wrote was called An Undocumented Wonder, The Making of the Great Indian Election. This book, in my hand is the 7th edition of the book. Originally, for first 4 editions were hardbound, and I wanted it paperback so that it is cheaper and it can reach more hands. So there I have given this serious subject all facts and figures, all the data, but told anecdotally, which is why it has done so well. So, Lalu Prasad Yadav's party got 5.98% vote, and the case came before us whether his party should lose the recognized status or not. I was very sympathetic. We wanted to say, okay, look, 5.98 rounding off is a normal thing. But in our meeting we always have our legal person. He says the language of the law is that not less than 6%. Now, not less than 6% makes it specific. 5.98 is less than 6%. So we had to deny him that. We felt sad, but what to do? But we tried our best to save him from derecognition. Now, we have more voters than all continents. Every continent, in fact, Europe, for instance, 50 countries, there are only 60% of India's voters, 60, all 50 countries. And when I made this speech in India High Commission, where some lords and baronesses, including the British ones, they were sitting, one could see their faces becoming small. They talk of being the mother of democracy, and here we were telling them that you are one upon 43 of India. All 50 countries put together. Imagine Indian election happening for 50 countries of Europe and USA, Canada, Mexico, all of them together. That is India's election, and we deliver perfect election every time. But leave aside 2-3 controversies, which I'm sure some of you will raise, and we will deal with that. Now, these are the figures. We have more votes than every continent. Now, complexities. While we have so many, nearly 1 billion, next election is going to be 1 billion voters. But we have a polling station for even one voter. In Gir forest of Gujarat, which is known for Asiatic lions, there is a temple priest for whom a polling party of 6 goes the previous evening, sets up the polling station in a dilapidated forest guest house, and we wait for him the next day to come, whatever time of his choice. We cannot force him. And even after he has voted, we cannot go close the shop and go away, because most of you are lawyers. Because somebody may come later and challenge, hey, look, the guy who came in the morning was a bogus voter, I'm the real voter. So we have to wait for the dispute, because we have to resolve the dispute. Unfortunately, this gentleman died. When Prime Minister Modi in his Man Ki Baat mentioned him about 2 years ago. And the day PM was speaking, that morning he died, and the speech obviously had been recorded the previous evening. So it wasn't covered. So, but doesn't matter. We have a similar polling one-man booth in Arunachal Pradesh. We had earlier one in Kerala where a dam was being constructed. When dam got completed, everybody moved away. One person refused to go. We used to set up a polling booth for him. When he died, the headline in Times of India was "Death of a Polling Booth." Now, mind you, we do not do it just for effect. कि देखो हम एक वोटर के लिए भी वो देते हैं. It's not for effect, because one voter can make all the difference. On one vote, people have lost in one election. By one vote, Vajpayee government had fallen. But Vajpayee government falling with one vote is a small thing, because out of 543, one vote margin is a greater possibility. Here, out of millions of votes, one vote. Now, Rajasthan, my friend Rajgopal was Director General of Police of Rajasthan. He knows Mr. C.P. Joshi. He was contesting his election as a Congress president. He would have become the chief minister if he had won the election. He lost by one vote. And when he was losing, he rang up our returning officer. He requesting, can you please recount the postal ballots? Because machine recount doesn't make mean anything, because every time you press the button, machine will tell you the same result 1,000 times. But postal ballots, there were 500 plus. So there may be human error. So he said, no problem, sir, we'll do it. That is, by the way, this is the spirit of cooperation with which we work. Or whatever a candidate and parties are asking, never say no to them. We need their trust. So at 20 minutes, same result. Then he called up again. He says, yeah, from the machines, when we tabulate the totals, we do it manually. So there may be an error. Can you retabulate the total? It's fine. Same result. He thanked the RO and moved on. Now, interestingly, his wife had not voted. When we heard about it, so I called up Mr. Joshi. Sir, this is what we have heard. Is that correct? He said, yes, it is true, because what happened was my wife and daughter had gone to a temple, which was a bit far, and they could not come back. I don't know whether not coming back was deliberate or it happened. So for us, there are three lessons here. One, every vote matters. It might be your vote, your vote, your vote. Please, that is something which you should always remember. Secondly, even you can't take even your family for granted. Third, on the day of poll, the most important temple is the polling station. That's something which politicians have learned forever. So that is why we make sure, we have a polling station 1,200 kilometers from India's mainland and only 145 kilometers from Indonesia in Indra Point in Karnikobar. 1,200 kilometers from mainland. There also we have to give it as good an election as in Bangalore and Connaught Place of Delhi. Without doubt, wherever, in forest, on island, in desert, wherever it is, we have to give a perfect election. For us, 99.9% success is a failure. It has to be 100% success, no questions asked. It has to be, because 1% left out means hundreds of people, or if not thousands of people, deny their constitutional right. So that is not acceptable. That's a very serious matter. So, and which is why we have to make sure that not one voter is left behind. I repeat this because we will be talking about a special intensive revision where millions have been left behind, left out, and why, whether it is acceptable. There is one story in between in Ladakh area where I will skip that because so that I finish early. We do vulnerability mapping. There was a time when there used to be murders on the poll day, 100 murders on the poll day, and 1,000 murders in the polling year. We are always learning. That is the secret of our success. We are always learning. It used to be the secret of our success because we thought we are always learning and we were always improving our system. So and that was introduced by Mr. T.N. Session, redoubtable Mr. T.N. Session. His contribution to Election Commission is phenomenal. We started doing vulnerability mapping. What is the sensitivity? What are the chances that the booth will be captured? And booth will be captured with a assassination or two. So normal booth, sensitive booth, and hypersensitive booth. And the level of security we give to these three tiers depends on the classification. So now this exercise is very intensive. We know every criminal in the village, his name of his father and his grandfather, what kind of crime he indulges in, who are the people he is likely to intimidate. We have all on record beforehand, and we take them to task. In fact, presence of a former DGP inspires me to tell you something from his department thing only. One of the things we review, why is it that elections have become peaceful? You never hear, the same criminal, what is the Hindi word they use for these powerful people? Bahubalis. Bahubalis, they become lambs during election because of the system that we have adopted. Now, these people for the last 3-4 years, about 4 lakh such people are identified, and they are bound down under the CRPC, now whatever the name of the act is, so for good behavior. They cannot escape. And some more details will come in the slide to ensure. So what I was telling you that we start reviewing with the police officers non-bailable warrants lying unexecuted. And 100, 200, 500, 2,000, 3,000. How long is the pendency? 3 months, 6 months, 1 year, 2 years, 5 years. These criminals, murderers, dacoits, rapists at large, and there's so many numbers, and there are non-bailable warrants pending against them. They say they are not traceable. We tell them, look, if you do not trace them in 15 days, look for another job. All of them are traced within 15 days. Because these photographs of these people are on page 3 cutting tape because they are local VIPs. They're getting published every day, but the police and the political pressure says they are not available. We cannot trace. But when our writ comes, they all are found and put behind bars. Action is taken. So this is the reason why elections have become very peaceful. Then our relationship with stakeholders is very open, very friendly, totally the positive. We hear all political parties, and down the line, even the returning officer, the district magistrate, we tell them all the time, please call political parties. Not all of them together, they'll start fighting. One party at a time. Listen to their grievances. What are the complaints against the government, against anybody, or what is the wish list? Discuss that. Then we have to treat all of them equally. I'm sitting in an NGO think tank. You can offer any suggestion with the EC, and we take you very seriously. That mobilization of the staff, they are drawn from central and state government departments. Under the law, they have to be government servants only. We cannot take outsiders, and when I go abroad, people raise eyebrows on that. How can government servants be neutral? Our response is in India only government servants can be neutral because the politicians come and go. It is the civil servants, it is the government servants who continue, and taking a very, very pragmatic reason. We have them by the neck for the next 35 years. If an RO, if a BDO, or if some teacher or somebody is misbehaved, we file a criminal case and we ruin his record. So where will he go away? If we were to take volunteers as the Western countries use, volunteer will commit murders. For all you know, they will be card holders of some parties and just pushing. Our time will be spent in only waiting them, whether they are neutral or they are partisan. And if they commit murders, we'll chase them for the rest of our life. Imagine 15 million people. If even half a person were to misbehave, how will we chase them? So that's why they are all government servants. There was a time came when we started falling short of the government servants. So we changed the law to extend it to PSUs, particularly banks and also the universities, government universities. So obviously, when I said we give you 100% election, so we need zero error in the training. The training has to be perfect. Otherwise, they are bound to make mistakes. And of course, the last bullet is very important. Neutrality is totally non-negotiable. Uh, Again, I'm talking of the way it should be. Now, challenges, even scheduling of elections. Many people are, often criticize election commission was thoughtless. They did not put their mind to it. This thing and that thing. But it takes a long time for us to decide the schedule. We have to see the weather, the agricultural cycle. For instance, in sowing season, nobody will come. In harvesting season, then definitely no farmer will come because in 4 or 5 days, looking at the sky, the rain comes and the entire effort is gone. So we have to see all that. The festival, there are many local festivals which in the first place we may not be aware of, and but if it is brought to our notice, many times it has happened. It has been happening till last year that 1 or 2 places we change the date by a day. So it is the big deal because so that nobody is left out. That is our guarantee. Examination schedule month of March is the holy cow. We cannot touch it. It has to be left for the exam, and so on and so forth. Law and order and other situations. Uh, Vulnerability mapping I already mentioned. We use 75,000 approximately videographers chasing the candidates all the time. The same guys who used to go and bash up people, and they still come out with that intention. They're always looking over the shoulder. कि पीछे तो कोई नहीं है. When they see the camera, so they realize there's no way they can get away with it. So they behave, they go home instead of harassing the people. 40,000 digital cameras. It's a great deterrent because once they see that you're being recorded and there's no escape. Then again, information, as we have all, the cliche goes that information is power. For us, it is extremely important. And as I said, we keep learning. In Madhya Pradesh, one district collector somewhere invented something, what we now call COMET, Communication for Election Tracking. And it's very simple. What he did was, in every village, he had identified 3 persons with a mobile phone, another 3 persons with a landline phone, and if all of them fail for any reason, for us, failure is not the option for us at all. We have a plan B, we have a plan C, and a plan D. And sometimes it happens that we have to reach plan D. Now, if all these fail, which is the nearest police wireless? If that wireless may fail in a deep forest, it can fail, the signal will fail. The, what is that telephone? Satellite phone. And if everything else fails, all technology fails, 3 young boys who can run 4 kilometers to the nearest shore shot landline, which could be the police station, wherever, where they can go and inform us. And it has worked. It is not just for effect and theory. In Maharashtra, what is the name of the Naxal district in Maharashtra? Gadchiroli. Gadchiroli, we got this on this communication network that the Maoists have surrounded the polling party which was coming back. Now, in normal course, they would have captured the machine and they would have killed our people. We got to know in time and we sent our helicopters flying and those guys ran away. And we were able to avert a very serious disaster. So this, our communication thing is working very well. It's a deterrent for the thing. Then EVM. I have been defending the EVM till last year. We call it the wonder machine of democracy. It has been challenged in various courts repeatedly, and the courts have praised this machine. And although I get a lot of abuse from the trolls for not exactly the trolls, but trolls are a particular brand. Uh, but I have been defending it. Although now I'm a little worried whether I should be sticking my neck out, because anything is possible. In fact, somebody told me, I used to say in my defense that, these machines are made in Bharat Electronics Limited, Bangalore, which is under the Defense Ministry, and ECIL under Atomic Energy Ministry in Hyderabad. So somebody asked me a very simple question, Mr. Qureshi, you're being very naive. If a private secretary to defense minister calls up the CMD of BEL to do something, okay, we have got a complaint and we are launching a CBI inquiry, what will be his reaction? He will do anything. He'll fall flat. Absolutely. We never knew these techniques because we were very honest people. But such a possibility does exist. New generation machines where the program machine will only act according to the program that you have fed into it later. So it can be done now. We don't know. So I think I should be careful instead of being a blind defender of it for all time. I should leave it to the current dispensation. They should defend their machine. Now, just a minute. Let me come back. This is the important thing. My policy was, and I'm repeating this only because of the new situation, because we had our doors open to the opposition party all the time. And every single political party has questioned EVM at some point or the other, every single party. Name it, and they've done it. And the worst and the maximum opposition was in around my time in 2009, 10, 11. And who was the biggest critic of EVM? The BJP. They wrote a book called Democracy at Risk by GVL Narasimha Rao, who became an MP on the strength of that book. He's an MP there now. So when I took over, as per my commitment and style, I immediately called an all-party meeting. Okay, look, you guys are protesting. I've heard your protest. Please tell us. And who was leading this delegation? Chandrababu Naidu. I was surprised and I said, Chandra Babuji, you are a technology icon. You are challenging technology. For me, the challenge is that you convince me or I convince you. And I'm sure that you will leave this room as a brand ambassador of my EVM. Now tell me what you want. He said, look, we are not saying that EVM has been manipulated or can be manipulated in the future. We are not saying that. I said, then what are you saying? He says, it is not, the system is not transparent. And he was right. What does it mean when you all voted, haven't you? When you go and press a button, it goes into a machine. Are you sure it is going to the right candidate? You cannot be. It is only because the election commission is telling you that you believe it. Otherwise, you can't see physically the vote going to the right place. He was right. I said, then what is the solution? He says, introduce voter verifiable paper audit trail. Now, this has two concepts hidden in this one word, VVPAT. Voter verifiability and paper audit. What is voter verifiability? When you press a button, we had to develop a machine, a printer with a screen that the person, the candidate you have chosen will appear, the name and face will appear on the screen, and you're satisfied, you're verified, yes, he's the right candidate, I voted for. And after 7 seconds, when the brain takes about 4 5 seconds to register something, shorter than that, you will not even register. 7 seconds is considered good enough. So, say for this slip to cut and go into a sealed box automatically. So we have a paper trail there, paper audit trail. We can count the slips, the machines and the slips which have been printed, they should coincide, the actual number. So very good idea. Believe me, just like transgender decision we took in the same meeting, here in front of these politicians, he says, all right, from today, we'll have VVPAT. I immediately called up the two CMDs of both these. Please start developing the machine. And we have an independent group of 5 experts, 5 different IITs professors that you go and supervise this. So VVPAT was developed, and uh, since then we have been using it. Now, the dispute, how many should be counted? Election Commission originally ordered that one per Vidhan Sabha constituency. Um, it went up to Supreme Court, Chief Justice Gogoi. He said, this is too little, there should be more, let us count 5. Now, 5 is an arbitrary figure, but it is more than 1, 2, 3, because it creates more confidence. So 5 are counted, although logically or statistically, it may not be really a very scientific way of determining. Now, people have been asking that there should be the 50% machine should be counted, some say 100% should be counted. And I have written many articles on the subject, and I say, okay, look, if I was there, if I was to count even 100%, I would do it. Because people's faith in the system should not be allowed to diminish. And political parties we can persuade. Just as I told you, they came and I asked Mr. Chotala, what is your complaint? He said, जो चंद्रबाबू नायडू कह रहे हैं. लालू जी से पूछा, आपको क्या शिकायत है? जो जी चंद्रबाबू जी कह रहे हैं. So Chandrababu, the leader, others were all followers. So, but we were able to come to an agreement in a 3 4 hour meeting. Now, public confidence, is very difficult to regain. Therefore, I'm very scared that the way we are losing because we are not taking corrective steps. 100% count. Oh, it takes time. How much? How much? Arey bhai, people are waiting for 2.5 months from the first phase of the poll to the last phase and the counting. People are waiting for 2.5 months. They can wait for one more day for a credible election, won't they? No. So, and number one, it doesn't take 24 hours. It may take 8 10 hours. I have a suggestion with if anybody would like to apply their mind. I said, you know, people say go back to the ballot paper. I said, stop counting the machine because machine counting takes the whole day. You watch the result. First round, second round, third round, 20 rounds, the 22 rounds. The whole day. I said, stop counting the machine. Save that day. It starts counting the slips straight away. Machine has done its job by printing the slip. So, and reverse it. 5 machines can also be counted as a counter check, but main count should be the paper ballot, the VVPAT, which is almost equivalent of paper ballot. So the demand for paper ballot will also be satisfied. I have told opposition parties many times that you guys are making a silly mistake by demanding return to ballot paper. Do you remember what used to happen? Booth capturing. They will, gundas will come, they will capture the booth and stamp very quickly 100 ballot papers and put them in the thing and go away. or walk away with the ballot box and put this in the village pond, and the votes will all be destroyed, requiring a re-election or whatever. So going back to ballot paper, this is a silly thing. If you saw on Chandigarh mayor election, just 40 ballot papers, and how it was turned out to be a fraud, and Supreme Court Chief Justice personally had to intervene, and the CCTV cameras which were already there, they were used, and they found that the returning officer was cheating. Now, 40 ballot papers, ko to you're cheating, you can't stop, and you're talking of 1 billion votes. So that's a very wrong thing. That's a wrong demand. But how many of you follow cricket? Quickly, one. Not too many, but I say that even don't count even 5, count only 4. And which are these 4? Instead of randomly picking up the machine, pick it up purposively. You are a think tank, you are a researcher. What is purposive? Selectively, anything, any machine which is suspect. Only that should be. Why I mentioned cricket? The LBW decisions or catch decision which go upstairs are only those which are suspected. Not randomly, 5% decision on LBW will be taken by the third party. That is ridiculous, because 5% will all be innocent. Similarly, 5% machines which are randomly picked up, they might be all innocent. They may not tell you the truth. The mischievous machine may still be there. So I have my proposal is that ask the top two contenders, the runners up, because only their result is affected. Forget the people lower down. Give them 2 options. Choose 2 machines which you would like to be counted. So they will definitely point fingers at the most suspected machines, and that will create trust. And time taken and all that. All those issues will be taken care of. All these alternative proposals, but nobody has bothered to even discuss those proposals. Uh, but I don't know. Then model code, again, as a guardian of the democracy and the election process. Model code is a unique innovation, although which was started by a police commissioner of in Kerala, where he got political parties together and said, okay, look, why don't you have a voluntary code of conduct that you will not disturb each other's meeting, you will not abuse people, you will, and no disturbance to the campaign and all that. It worked so well that we started getting demand, and then election commission has been enforcing the model code. It was challenged in Punjab and Haryana High Court. Look, this is not part of the law. It is true, it is not a law. But at the same time, the High Court came up with a very intelligent decision. Those days, the court used to give intelligent decisions. So they said, look, there is nothing in this model code which is contrary to any law. Actually, in spirit, is saying the same thing which the laws are saying. It is only reinforcing. Therefore, it is fine. It went up to Supreme Court. Supreme Court also said, look, in principle, it's a good idea. The only question before us is, what is the date from which we should enforce it? The decision was taken from the moment the election schedule is announced by the press conference, in a press conference by the Election Commission, the model code comes into the picture. I had censured the law minister of the land, Mr. Salman Khurshid. And on the complaint of who? The opposition party, which abuses me today. And all through, it was through my tenure, the opposition party was the BJP. And I told you my policy was to have open doors to the opposition. The biggest beneficiary of my open door policy was the BJP. They filed his complaint. Look, he went to his wife's constituency in Farrukhabad, UP, and says we will increase minority quota reservation from 4.5% to 9%. So this was a violation of the model code. Immediately we gave notice. 10 lawyers on this side, 10 lawyers on the other side. They argued for 4 days, and we said, look, this guy is guilty, and we censured him, and there is no appeal. No court can sit in judgment on the censure of the Election Commission. And I had also charge sheeted 3 Congress ministers in the Congress regime, which had appointed me. And these people still say, oh, Qureshi, your days, because some names have become very unpopular these days. So now minimum standards of behavior, etc., etc. But the next slide is more significant. The most important is a small chapter, the 20-page document. It's a good idea if all of you download and keep it on your table, because elections keep on happening all the time and model code violations will be in the news all the time. So the checks on party in power. They cannot mix campaigning and official. Oh, we are going to review educational program in the district, whereas real purpose, nothing doing. You have to come in your private car, and if you come in government car, go back to your capital and come back in a private arrangement. No official vehicle or aircraft can be used. Again, anecdote here. We had once declared elections in Himachal Pradesh 3.5 months before they normally would be, for a good reason, some court case or something. Uh, so the chief minister of Himachal Pradesh, the Congress chief minister, mind you, Mr. Veerbhadra Singh, he had gone to Washington to negotiate some loan from the World Bank, from which he will make announcement to please the voters. We preempted him, not deliberately. We did it for some other reason, that some people from snowbound regions had gone to court. Say, look, we are not able to vote. Every time the vote is held in February, there is snow. We are denied this right. Of course, the election is held in June, but by then government is formed. We become useless. So context was there. So when he came to, okay, look, you have done the election and all our plans and everything has gone haywire. So we said, okay, sorry, this is the reason. We explained the whole thing. And say your party had also signed. Yeah, yes, they should be advanced. At least part of the Himachal election before 15th of November. Because Rohtang Pass closes on 15th of November. So we rejected his offer, his demand. And when he was going, we said, okay, please deposit 16.5 lakh rupees for the use of aircraft, because you have come for a political meeting, not for an official meeting. Later on, I met him in a social occasion and he said, Qureshi, I'll never forgive you for two things. But later on, he said, chalo, I don't mind that you did not change the date, but for the fine that you imposed on us. I said, this was not a fine. That was just a implementation of a rule and a law, that you came for a political purpose using the official plane. You should have come by commercial plane. So that is has been our even-handed attitude, which is, reputation takes some effort to build. And like any building which takes 10 years to build, 40 seconds, they can get demolished. 40, it doesn't take too much to demolish. So that's something. Now, no announcement of new schemes. In Bihar, a new scheme of 10,000 rupees in every account was announced 2 days before the thing. And Election Commission said it's an ongoing scheme, because it started 2 days before the announcement of the election. Rubbish. Again, a Rajasthan example, when in our time, Rajasthan election, similar case came before us. So we decided with the rate consideration that ongoing scheme means, suppose a road is being built. That will not be stopped because it is for common good and everything. Individual beneficiary, identifiable individual beneficiary scheme should be frozen for the period of the election. And I've got a notice for 10 minutes, the lights will be closed. So no announcement of new scheme. Now it is being done with impunity. And the guardian of the India's democracy is a party to it, unfortunately. Now we use all technology, latest technology for everything except the EVM, which is the oldest technology, elementary technology of an elementary calculator, 17th century technology, by a conscious decision. We don't go for online voting. Lots of people say technology superpower in India, so why not? Well, not for technical and non-technical reason, we are not looking at that. So except for that, we use all good technology. Now, voter apathy. When I have my PhD is in communication, incidentally, and also in communication for women and child development. So therefore, I came to Election Commission as gender sensitized male and aware of the importance of communication. When I saw voter turnout of 20%, 24% here and there, I said, this is not acceptable to me. I said we should have voter education to persuade voters. And I was overruled by the commission. अपने time में करना. No, what is this? वो भी तो मेरा time था. I was an equal member. There are 3 equal voting members. 2 election commissioners can outvote the CEC 3 times a day, 10 times a day. So I had to wait for 4 years for my time, and I set up voter education division. My first election was Bihar, October 2010, highest turnout in history, and we have not looked back. That sweep program, SVEEP, आपने सुना होगा, systematic voter education for electoral participation. It has revolutionized participation revolution, and it is going for higher every election. So we did voter education, National Voters Day. Similar civil society meeting in Bhubaneswar. Somebody raised the hand and he said, look, 18 years is a special age, you become adult, so we should do something to celebrate. I said, very good statement. Let us think of a celebration. We put together a team to think of that celebration. They came up with National Voters Day. Everybody who becomes 18 should be enrolled. So we started collecting. We decided that we'll celebrate National Voters Day to celebrate these first time young voters. I wrote a letter to the cabinet secretary, Mr. K. M. Chandrasekhar, you will remember. He happened to be my class fellow from college. So I wrote to him, Mr. Chandrasekhar, we are going to celebrate National Voter Day, and we will be distributing new card at 8 lakh functions, polling booth level functions, 8 lakh polling booth at that time, now 1 million or 1.1. So please ask the ministries and the states to extend cooperation. Actually, there was no need to write there. What cooperation did we need? We already had all the power and we were conducting elections anyway. We sent it in October. October gone, November gone, December gone, January 19th. 6 days before 25th January, I get a call from Cabinet Secretary. Qureshi, your proposal for National Voters Day is coming before the Cabinet today. The moment he used the word proposal, my heart sank. Damn it, मैंने तो implement किया बैठा हूँ सारी तैयारी. You are still calling it proposal. And what if the proposal is rejected? All my effort, everything will come to naught. Then very quickly he added 2 questions you have to answer. Tell me, do you want a national holiday? And how much money do you need? Fortunately, I said I don't want a holiday, and I don't need a single rupee. ये क्या बोल रहा है? पागल हो गया है? तूने तो लिखा है 8 लाख फंक्शन करेगा और 1 भी रुपया नहीं चाहिए. मैंने कहा नो, मैं पागल नहीं हो गया हूँ, because the registering voters is our job anyway. We do it around the year. A round the year activity, we convert it into an event. It creates that the impact. So we will use that money which is already available to us. This must be the only proposal in India's history without a cabinet memorandum. And what is a cabinet memorandum? Some of you in the civil service, a ministry send the proposal which is sent to 20 ministries. If you have any objection, any comment, because we can't send anything to the cabinet which has not been consensually decided. So the 10-line letter, on that basis, the National Voter Day was created. The Rashtrapati does the main function in Delhi, and where 35 chief election commissioners of the world attend. And they also wonder कि haldi lage na pitkari, rang chokha. Those of you understand Hindi. So now we have been celebrating National Voter Day. It is coming. Now why 25th January? Normally, when you have an event, you look for a special date or some special date. 26 January, so Republic Day would have been ideal. So, but unknown to many people, again, my idea was to create that kind of awareness. Election Commission of India was born before India was born as a republic by a day. And there also the wisdom of the framers of the Constitution, they wanted the government of the day to be not to be the founder of the creator of the Election Commission. It should be the other way around. So they have wisdom that these 6 articles which created the Election Commission were promulgated exactly 2 months before 26th of January 1950. On 26th November 1949, only Election Commission related articles were promulgated and the Election Commission was born. A small fact, very important for civil service aspirants. Therefore, I try to make sure that the youngsters get to know about these things. Now, the simultaneous election is one issue on which the Prime Minister in 2014 said that there should be a national debate, all elections should be together. I've been writing from day one against it. Although not exactly against it, because I've been writing very rationally, I'm giving for and against arguments. For election commission, it's a very nice thing to do because voters are the same. Whether panchayat election or Vidhan Sabha or Lok Sabha, you are the same. You have to go 3 times in simultaneous election, you will go only once. Instead of pressing one machine, you will press 3 machines and you are done. So are we. For 5 years, election commissioners go and will play golf. हमारे लिए तो बहुत अच्छा idea, a wonderful idea for us. But our convenience cannot be the concern. It's a very serious constitutional issue. Federal question is involved. Panchayat election is as important as Lok Sabha election. I cannot say contemptuously your local village level. Now, you are living in a village and the drain in front of your house is clogged and is stinking. What is more important when you go to vote? What will be the issues on your mind? That drain or our policy towards Ukraine? What is more important? So why should everything be subsumed by the national level concerns? So absolutely wrong idea. But after 11 years of debate, nothing, no consensus could be arrived at. So the government has unilaterally taken the decision that they'll go ahead and implement it, so that when a voter, whatever be the issue, only one face should be on people, voters' head, voters' mind, and that is the whole idea. So now the act has been passed and it has been referred to joint parliamentary committee. For the first time, to my horror and surprise, the parliamentary committee asked for my comments also, which I have sent. But I'm sure nothing will happen. This will be passed. The act will be passed. Now, new act on appointment of EC. This is also a very important thing. It was always important. I have always said that the most powerful election commission of the world has the weakest system of appointment of election commission. Government of the day appoint anybody. And this was a question raised against me also. I still, if you Google Karan Thapar interview on S.Y. Qureshi somewhere at 2011 or 12. So he asked me, I said, look, I feel very small and concerned that I was appointed unilaterally by the government of the day. If opposition was also involved in decision, I would have felt prouder. So the way he questioned, he says he always wants clarity. You mean if leader of opposition had signed, you would have been happier? I said yes. And you mean Sushma Swaraj, the leader of opposition? I said yes. I mean all that. If you had signed, that will be a proof that I am acceptable across the board, across all political parties. Surely in the country there will be 3 commissioners, 3 individuals on whom everybody, all parties will agree that this guy is the right guy. So it's not difficult to find. Now, Supreme Court ke paas gaya ki, this has to be bipartisan, and 70 years the government has not passed an act. So they asked the government to pass an act and said, till you pass the act, the current collegium, which is appointing many people, CVC, CIC, including director of CBI, who is not even a constitutional or a statutory authority, he is a government department, like Department of Agriculture, no different in terms of its composition. But because of the role it plays, so there is a collegium, Prime Minister, Leader of Opposition, and the Chief Justice. So court says that till you pass the act, we will do this. So government passed the act in a hurry. Initial draft was good. Same composition continued. Finally, what the draft they brought and the act they passed, it will be a collegium of who? Prime Minister, a cabinet minister appointed by him. In this case, it is Modi and Amit Shah, and poor leader of opposition. What kind of result do you expect from this collegium? Bipartisan? No, this is a slap. The way with impunity they are trying to insult the institution. Okay, look, Supreme Court, you wanted a law, we have passed the law. By the way, the matter is still pending in the Supreme Court. दक्ष आप लोग सुप्रीम कोर्ट को एडवाइस करते हैं, प्लीज इस पे भी आप पेपर भेजो उनको बना के कि इसको एक्सपेडाइट करें. दिस इज वेरी वेरी क्रूशियल. Also, it's not that there were people in my time also, earlier, before, after, appointed by the government of the day, but once they sat on the chair, the umbilical cord is cut. I had one more year to retire from the IAS. I had to resign from the IAS. so that my link with the government is disconnected. And once appointed, I cannot be removed except through impeachment, which is a difficult job. Aaj tak, nobody in India has been impeached so far. Now, one basic flaw, I've written about it many times, but nobody really cares. The chief election commissioner was protected from removal by the constitution because at that time it was only a one-man institution. Later in 1993, the two other members were added. So the protection was not for an individual, it is for an institution. Now institution used to be one man, now there are three. So all three should have the same protection? No. Now the other two, those of you who have worked in the government, you will understand this word better. The other two feel like they are probationers. They are on probation. Will the government elevate me or not? I remember, the two commissioner with me, I had God-given confidence. I knew no prime minister and no political leader of the Congress party at that time can dare not to elevate me when my seniority comes. So, but they used to, and I had to give them confidence. Look, don't worry, it will not happen. Once it has under Vajpayee, somebody tried to persuade him that one cabinet secretary that he'll be parrot dropped directly. The then commissioners, Mr. T.S. Krishnamurthy and B.B. Tandon, they said we will resign. Immediately the government backed off because two commissioners resigning would have been a big news. Not anymore. The two commissioners have resigned in the recent past, the last 3-4 years. So now the appointment of election commissioners on the removal process is a very crucial thing. Again, topic for DAKSH to take up and study in great detail, and I'm game to spend hours with you in developing. Electoral bond is history. They try to rush it, and fortunately for once, Supreme Court showed some backbone after many years, though, that this is unconstitutional and it is not history. EVM, VVPAT debate, I've already said. This is the last controversial issue, special intensive review. Now, people have asked me, I do not jump on every media, very, very selectively. In the last 3-4 months, I've appeared only two things. And my stand is very clear that we, in 2003, when the last special intensive revision, sir, was done in Bihar in 2003 and 4. The then election commission had taken a decision that in future we will not do intensive revision, because intensive revision means that all you voters, you are nobodies, you are out. You have to be registered as voters ab initio on a blank sheet of paper. All the effort of the 30 years gone. So the decision was taken that now that we have computerized the electoral roll, they're all digitally available. And we will only do summary revision, which means somebody will come to your BLO, will come to your doorstep, show you the electoral roll. Okay, look, in your house there are 3 voters. These are the names. Is that correct? Yes. Is there any new voter to be added this year who has become 18, or some daughter-in-law has come into the house? So there is a form 6. You fill up the form. Somebody has died or have migrated, so to be released, so there is form 7. It was done on the spot. And if some correction was to be done, form 8. That is what used to be. When you were not supposed to apply for any form. Now you have been made to run around. I don't know whether Karnataka is one of them where it is happening or not. You will face it very soon. Don't worry. Your time will come. So you will have to find, what was the thing in 2003 and 4, was your father, grandfather was there on the roll or not, and you'll have to keep digging. Now 100 millions, hundreds, 1 billion people are made to run to become voters, which is a constitutional right. Now you have to find this document, that document. So I think not one voter to be left behind. It is in the name of cleaning of voter roll. So cleaning of voter roll has become cleansing of voters. That is the unfortunate situation. And this I finished, but I only show you some photographs. Issues of concern, money power, criminalization. 43% of the MPs have criminal cases against them. Not my allegation, an affidavit which they have given to the returning officer at the time of filing election. Some of them multiple cases: rape, dacoity, murder, kidnapping. Urban youth apathy, I've already mentioned. We started a campaign to say we will deal with apathy. Very first election in 2010 or 11 in my time in Delhi, there used to be a song Pappu Can't Dance Sala. Do you remember? So we created a Pappu. Our Pappu can also dance. His only problem is he doesn't vote. So we wanted to lampoon him. By the way, when I say Pappu, no political statement is intended here. Yeah. So now, and at work, the people, there was a time when people were not voting and they were bragging about it. Oh, I've never voted in my life. They will told the mustache, I've never voted in my life. And then sitting in the drawing room criticizing the government. They have no business to criticize. You have not moved an inch to elect your government, and then you're criticizing. So we said we'll convert this macho statement into a statement of shame and embarrassment. The fashion statement was converted, and all these people who were not voting, they were showing their marked finger. Look, look, I have not voted. I'm not a Pappu. I have voted. I have voted. I have voted. We changed the attitude. 14% increase in one single election. So now, this is incidental. I was not even conscious of it, although we were doing it. Meera Kumar, she came to one of our National Voters' Day function, and she, in her speech, said, Indian elections are green elections. We were doing it. Every election, we save 11,000 tons of paper, which means 280,000, 280,000 trees, which would have been cut to produce that paper. They have been saved. Millions of gallons of water, power, money saving. We control noise. We control defacement of property, your property. Political party आपके घरों पे आके paint करते थे. You will spend thousands then cleaning them. If you try to stop them, they will beat you up. But that, thanks to Mr. T.N. Session, he stopped it. Petrol, they used to 1,000 car cavalcade. We reduced it to 10, not more than 10 will be allowed. So petrol pollution, no plastics at all. And mind you, none of these is election laws. These are already existing laws of the land which are not implemented normally. But once our rate comes, we make sure that every law of the land is implemented. And there were reports that the crime comes down drastically because we are vigilant and with zero tolerance. Voter education was a game changer, and I would not go into the details, but now these are the kind of headlines we got then. The wonder that is India's election, great job, well begun, well done, EC, thank you, EC. Now you can't bribe these Times of India, Hindustan Times, and others to give you these headlines. And have collected 36 headlines of 2019 elections, and I'll be very embarrassed. You will be embarrassed if I show them to you here. Same newspapers uh, casting slurs. New York Times called it the greatest show on earth. In fact, this is the title when many people abroad and even nationally, when they call me to give a lecture, they say, please speak on what do you mean by the greatest show on earth. Then Indian voters show the way forward, Financial Times London, Independent London. This is interesting. India confirms its status as a democratic beacon. Yet for this chaotic nation, with its unfathomable religious, social, and linguistic diversity, not only to give free and fair elections, but also to deliver a stable golf. Galti se aa gaya because I mentioned golf to you, na. Election, but also to deliver a stable government is a now stable government. Mind you, every election has been has led to peaceful transition of power. Where ruling prime minister with folded hands offers the chair to the incoming prime minister, which can only happen. Can you imagine Trump doing it to Biden? You remember what happened? Now, what are the key lessons? I will request Daksh to distribute this PowerPoint to you. Those of you who might want to. This is what are the lessons for you. Now, these photos. Now, the elephant, the camel, international audiences find very fascinating. And this is not for effect because point is that in deep forest only elephant can go. In Registan, Rajasthan, only camel can go, and similarly boats and whatever it takes, or helicopter, we do that. Look at the peaceful queues. Handicapped people, I mentioned about. Now you will notice Prime Minister and his wife mentioned showing their fingers, which has been marked. Why is the finger marked? So that they cannot go and vote a second time in a second booth. Even Prime Minister is not exempted, and you will notice that he is not complaining. Although he was economical with his smile also, but in this case he is smiling. Wonderful man. I salute him. A great man. Modern means of transport. Now, this is important. This is the time which will. I've been asked this question many times. Qureshi, in this age of technology, why is it that you take 3 days after the last poll day to do the counting? Now, our answer is we keep those 3 days deliberately because once the election results are announced and any complaint comes to us that there was some bogus polling anywhere, we can't do anything. After announcement of result, we become what is legally called punctus officio. No power left. It moves to High Court through election petition. Now, these guys are giving their report that there was some complaint in a booth. Tomorrow morning at 11 o'clock, Election Commission will sit and take a decision how many booths will be asked to go for repoll. Sometimes we order a repoll of the repoll because that is our last weapon. So that is why they take those 3 days while you're waiting for the result. In any case, exit poll forecast keeps you busy those 3 days, so you don't really know why you're waiting 3 days. Basically, for this important decision that we are going to take tomorrow. Very simple thing. I was reviewing on video conference. For the first time, we introduced video conference review. Otherwise, we used to go DMs and SPs used to come whole day conference and a day for coming, a day for going. So we thought let's do video. So I asked casually, hey, look, what are you doing for women to facilitate women voters? And it's on the spur of the moment. I said, why don't you allow? Otherwise, the rule was one woman, one man, one woman, one man. I said, for every man who goes inside the booth, allow 2 women. So the women's queue moved faster. And so much so that when the woman goes back to the neighborhood and say, "Bहन, आप वोट देने जाओगी?" अरे वोट देने क्या जाऊंगी, मैं तो वोट दे के आ गई, 5 मिनट में आ गई, 10 minutes में आ गई, हाँ जी आ गई. They are also inspired. They came, and women are now outvoting men, whereas they used to be 10 percentage point less than men. Now they have overtaken because we have made it easier by small innovations. Very lovely picture this. Now, once Mulayam Singh Yadav came to us, because of you, we use paramilitary forces. You've been in any group? No. Yeah. So, because of your बंदूक लोग नहीं आए थे डर के मारे. मैंने कहा हमारी बंदूक से लोग डरते नहीं, देखो कॉन्फिडेंस फील करते हैं, उनके चेहरे देखिए, से फीलिंग सो कंफर्टेबल एंड कॉन्फिडेंट. इट इज योर बंदूक जिससे वो डरते हैं, तो जिसका काउंटर हमारी ही बंदूक है. तो now President of India showing her ID card. Democracy is a great leveler. And you will notice the other lady, I don't know whether she is her staff or she is another voter, and she is not feeling any uncomfortable or intimidated. Even president as the first citizen. Although, by the way, I have written in my book, which I am going to present to my batchmate, Mr. Raj Gopal. This is an undocumented wonder. 7th edition. Please go on Amazon. It's worth buying and worth keeping. So I have mentioned about this. As CEC, I never voted. Whereas I was doing voter education for the rest of the country, it was a principal thing where some presidents have voted, some have not voted. The moment I'm voting for somebody, unknown to you, but known to me, my conscience, I'm becoming partisan. And my job does not admit partisanship. I did not vote. Pranab Mukherjee did not vote. He voted. It's up to them because first citizen should vote. But my point of view was that you can to be totally neutral. You have to forego the small gesture. Now here is a quiz for you, ladies and gentlemen. One of them is a winning chief minister, one of them is a losing chief minister, both of Himachal Pradesh. Can you identify who is the winner and who is the loser? Actually, both have been winner and loser against each other. Imagine Trump and Biden sitting like this. Can you imagine? So, because they lost one, the other one lost, but no protest because no doubt on aspersion caused on the election commission. I lost unfairly. This is the biggest. The picture says 1,000 words. Another picture which says 1,000 words after 2014, when one candidate went hammer and tongs abusing the other candidate, the other was not capable of abusing anyway. But after the poll, he went to Mr. Manmohan Singh's house with a book. That is how this transition happens peacefully. Now, lovely pictures. These. Thank you very much. This was the original look of the book. If you decide to order, don't go for that title because this has been updated by 2014, 19 and 24 elections. This is the book you should go for. On Amazon, all the options are available. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Qureshi. That was a great lecture. I don't want to stand between you and the question answer round. I'd like to invite Harish Narsappa, who's our co-founder, to moderate the Q&A.
This question is about electronic voting machine. I had a hand in the development and introduction of it when I was in Bharat Electronics. And till recently, it was not suspected. But I find now in the last 5 years, a lot of civil servants suspect that EVM can be hacked and is being hacked by certain parties. Now, the argument is that EVM
sorry, sir.
has a
Can I ask
computer.
what the question, sir? If you can come to the question, please.
The question is, why is it that the Election Commission does not explain the features of EVM and that it cannot be hacked, and therefore these allegations are not right?
Okay, thank
The
you.
second question is, a totalizer was developed for to make sure that the parties do not know which particular constituency or which particular polling booth voted for whom. But it has not been introduced because I believe the political parties do not want it. I want
Yes.
answer to this.
Okay,
Sir,
thank you, sir.
Sir, I would write because I'm a forgetful old man. I'll answer right away.
Yes.
Instead of accumulating 2, 3. I'll start with this totalizer. Totalizer was earlier in the ballot paper age, we used to do ballot mixing. We'll draw randomly 10 boxes from here, there, everywhere, put them in a drum, roll the drum, make bundles of 50 each, so that when you see the trend, it will not be indicating the trend of a village, of a polling booth. You would not know because they have been drawn from 10 places. When EVM started, that thing has discontinued, leading to very serious threat to the voters. There are ministers on record. There was a Maharashtra minister. Your village did not vote for me. I'll see how you will get water for the next 5 years. So for that, we sent a proposal very wrongly at that time in 2004. We sent a proposal to the law minister. Now, that was the biggest mistake. We should not send proposal. We have all the powers. The moment you send a proposal, some under secretary will start getting busy, and it has been lying with them. Finally, about 5 years ago, it went to the parliament, make a special joint parliamentary committee, and they say, this will be against the national interest. The anonymity of the voter will be against the national interest. Now, somebody should ask them, कि अकल है कुछ नहीं दिमाग बुद्धि So they passed this order. They cannot do it. As a result, many areas, many booths are getting discriminated. They're getting punished because there is no mixing. Totalizer was nothing but a mixing machine, just as physical ballots were rolled in a drum. The totalizer was getting 10 machines jumbling up their data. Now, when EVM, single EVM data is suspect, who will accept that jumbling of the 10 different machines? In today's mahal, when there is total mistrust, it's impossible to get it through even from the by way of public opinion. So that is the dilemma.
First, I commission not playing the features.
You are actually election commission, as I mentioned, every the political party at some point or the other has questioned. Election commission has been explaining, and election commission even throws a challenge: "Ke come and hack the machines, come to our office and hack the machines." Nobody has succeeded, and at the same time, currently, the current election commission does not explain anything easily, because they only use their the danda power, not the power to take people along. If you have a doubt, I should explain it to you, and if he has a doubt, I should explain to him again. If I have to do it repeatedly, let us do it repeatedly, or make a video, circulate it. It will go everywhere. But you're right; it has to be. People have to be educated. So why this machine is safe, and what are the questions being raised, and why? What are the answers to it? We need to communicate with people. Not communicating is arrogance, which is not acceptable.
What's the reason or reasons for not adopting online voting or not allowing online voting for those who would prefer it and manual voting for the
Yeah.
others?
You know, you notice every week, 10 days, so many people, bank accounts are hacked. Although, so people use ATM and now the fact that bank can, now if the entire bank is looted, it doesn't matter because insurance company will underwrite it. Election cannot be allowed to be looted, hijacked. That's why. And for two non-technical reasons. Technologically, it is child's play for India and election commission, but there are two non-technical reasons. If online voting is allowed, somebody comes to your house with a gun. We in the polling station, we protect the polling station by central paramilitary force and local police. Somebody comes to your house with a gun. Please give me your computer. First, they say, vote for me, or better still, you give me your computer. I'll vote for myself and vote for 10 others also. We cannot protect. Or somebody comes to you with an envelope here of 5,000 rupees. We cannot even guard your integrity. So these are the two non-technical reasons. But technical reasons, in the age of when simple EVM, which is nothing but an adding machine of 17th century, press a button, a vote is added, a second vote is added. Even that is suspected. Who will trust your digital thing, which is totally invisible? Where is it going? And for the way the deletion in Karnataka, आप ही के तो थे ना वो 6,000 votes were deleted, digital manipulation. वो तो election के will be over, democracy will be gone.
Hi, sir. Thank you so much for the talk. I have actually two questions. One, in your capacity as an IAS officer, and another in your capacity as a former CEC. So, first question I have is, so you have seen elections in India are a great leveler because people have shown their anger, people have shown their happiness with some person through their voting. Now, there's a lot of noise in the media, pro and against the election commission, as you would be aware. So, two questions. One is, as a former IAS, what is the effect that you see on Indian democracy or India's retaining its democratic ethos going forward in the next 20, 30 years? Second is, what is it that we, the people, can do to actually right the wrongs? Is there anything that we can do?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, a very good question. The first one was,
Impact on democracy.
yeah, when I was writing my book, An Undocumented Wonder, the making of the great Indian election, very pompous title. At the end of my writing, I came across Economist Global Democracy Index. which classified India as a flawed democracy. I was very angry, like every Indian. This must be a Western conspiracy against India. They must have set the parameters in such a way that we'll come in poor light. But when I studied why they were showing us a flawed democracy, because for exactly the reasons which we were shouting about, there were only 7% women voters in Parliament, women MPs in Parliament, and Vidhan Sabha, 7, 8, 300 million illiterate people, 30 crores, more than 40, 50 countries population. And criminal, 40, I mentioned 43% of the MPs have criminal cases against them. So these are the parameters which bring us down. Now, women's reservation bill is a very good thing. I've been praising it. That's a good thing. I hope, but unfortunately, it cannot be implemented in 2029. It will have to be done in 2034. So, but that's at least a good step. At least 33% women will reach parliament. So, the concept of flawed democracy, because great election does not mean great democracy. Our job is to give you a free election, but who do you elect? You are electing criminals. And we have been demanding, since quite a few of our here are lawyers. How many are lawyers? Please give for my quick feedback. Quite a few, so it's interesting for you to know. The Election Commission before me has been demanding that the people against whom there are serious cases, heinous cases, should be debarred from contesting. We are told that the law of the land is presumption of innocence. You are presumed innocent till proved guilty in a court of law. Very correct. That is the law of the land, no doubt. So they say that false cases may be filed by the political rivals, which is also true. But Election Commission replies that there are three safeguards. One, we are talking of only of heinous offences like rape, dacoity, murder, kidnapping, and corruption. किसी ने किसी को स्लैप कर दिया, किसी ने किसी को अब्यूज कर दिया, that is not our concern. So, secondly, this case should have been filed 6 months before. Now, somebody requested us to make it 1 year. मैंने कहा, okay, make it 1 year. And third, the court of law should have framed the charges. Since these are heinous offences carrying 5 years rigorous imprisonment, they have to be decided by the district and session court. That is the highest court after the high court. So if they have framed the charges, so at least they are independent. Police can file false report because under political pressure, poor fellows, they have to do it all the time. But at least, not that judiciary cannot be pressurized, but at least presumption is. In any case, I have a counter question which the lawyer friends can help me answer. I have said it in the presence of judges and jurists. I say my counter question is, in Indian jails today, there are 4,31,000 prisoners. 71,000 are under trial, which means innocent because they have not been convicted yet. Under trial, innocent. Yet you have taken away 4 fundamental rights: right to liberty, freedom of movement, freedom of occupation, right to dignity. By the way, right to vote is not even a fundamental right, it's a statutory right. So you can take away 4 fundamental rights within the ambit of your existing law, which has presumption of innocence. So please release them tomorrow. So here you say, no, they are innocent. So 20 years a rapist minister continues to rape. A corrupt minister continues to make money. So this is what Election Commission has been demanding. But this is the reply we get, and we are nowhere. And increasingly, when we were demanding it, there were only 20% criminal MPs. It has gone up from gradually to 43. By the next election, it will be 53. Impossible to get this law through. This amendment will never come.
Sir, in respect of state assembly elections, would it be preferable if president's rule is imposed as soon as the model code of conduct comes into effect?
Yes, very serious question and a disturbing question, because I have been observer in many countries, and Bangladesh, for instance, in our neighborhood. This is the latest book which I showed you. There, for about 15, 20 years, there used to be a concept of interim government, which you are talking about. And in 2011, 95 to 2011, this was the practice, and it was abolished by Sheikh Hasina. So And as a result, the elections during that period were trusted. After that, mistrust came. We were proudly saying, look, interim government, what do you mean? What are you talking about? Election Commission of India is the interim government. And everybody vouches for our independence. Nobody raises a finger about us. We were the neutral government. But the kind of conduct which we see today, your question would not have come if the character of the Election Commission had been the same. Very correct demand, very valid demand. Maybe people are voicing it, and but what will happen, we don't know. I think better is to restore the credibility of the Election Commission. The court, the matter is still in Supreme Court. The appointment of the Election Commissioner. Just to give you an example, small countries whom we treat contemptuously, we can learn from each one of them. Nepal, Nepal ka election system, there is a collegium larger than India's, जिसमें the LOP, Chief Justice and Prime Minister and Speaker and Deputy Speaker are also there. After that, even their selection is not accepted. A joint parliamentary committee consisting of MPs from all parties, from both houses, then they interrogate, question, सामने बिठा के. In fact, my late wife, she does unfortunately passed away 4 months ago. She was election commissioner of Nepal. And she was likely to be appointed judge of the Supreme Court. And she used to rehearse her dialogues with me. This system there is so tough. They'll surely ask me question that you married an Indian. By the way, marrying a Muslim she was a Brahmin. Marrying a Muslim was not an issue in Nepal. Marrying an Indian definitely was. She poor thing, she used to rehearse her dialogue. कि मैं ये कहूँगी वो भी तो था, ये भी तो था, वो भी तो था, ये करूँगी, वो करूँगी. That situation didn't arise. That with the result that the Election Commission Nepal's decisions are not questioned because they are genuinely bipartisan, multi-partisan. So we have to improve our system instead of an interim government that is too radical a thing and going too far, too backward.
My first question is, as delimitation is underway, probably next year, the South Indian states are believing that the population parameter isn't something sufficient and just in terms of seat distribution for them. The North Indian states are not telling anything as of now. The Home Minister says that the population parameter, if it is used in the formula, will not bring any change. Doesn't make any sense as most of the time. And my second question is, as more than 50% of our population is under the age of 40, has the sweep or the law ministry or the youth affairs ministry taken any efforts to ensure that the young people who are in between 25 to 35 or 40 represent themselves in contesting elections or just voting? Because I think around 60% of our population is under 40.
Yes.
First question on delimitation.
You said you are a civil service aspirant, are you?
No. Law student.
Law student. Law student. But maybe if you decide to be a civil service aspirant, I have written 3 articles for Indian Express. The first will be coming 2-3 days. They are sequel. First is census of 2027. Why has it been delayed? When in 2020, at the peak of COVID, Bihar election took place, and I used to write articles saying, we must don't postpone election in the name of COVID. Look at Hungary, look at Poland. They've conducted South Korea. They conducted elections with great turnout. So with the result, the elections were held in India, and very high turnout in Bihar. So therefore, to postponing census in the name of COVID for 7 years, I really don't know. Everything which is done these days is done with great deliberation, great thought. What is that thought, we don't know, but that's wrong. So first part is this. Second is delimitation, because this census will only lead to delimitation. The delimitation, you are absolutely right. 50 years ago, this was the issue raised that South Indian states have done very well in population control, in family planning programs, whereas UP and Bihar and Madhya Pradesh were going berserk with their population. Yeah. So North Indian control states had a very high birth rate. So in 1976, decision was taken that the 1971 census, the figures will be frozen. On the basis of that, because delimitation used to do two things. One, that decide the number of seats which every state will have. And within the state, drawing the boundaries to represent equal size of population. So the decision was taken that for 25 years, 1971 figures will be frozen, and there will be no disturbance to the allocation of Lok Sabha seats to any state, particularly South India. South India was satisfied with. When 25 years lapsed and Vajpayee regime in 2002, they had to extend the freeze by another 25 years. And in that constitutional amendment, they very clearly said that it will be frozen till the next, till the census after 2026. Now, after 2026, it is frozen. The next census would have been 2031. So instead of waiting for that, maybe this has something to do with the reason why for 7 years they have not conducted the census. But constitutional requirement was because of the 2002 amendment that till 2026 the same thing is frozen. Um, uh, South Indian state should be comfortable. Now, Prime Minister, more than Prime Minister, Amit Shah is on record repeatedly quoting the Prime Minister that we assure the South Indian state that not one seat will be reduced. Now, the catch here is that not one seat will be reduced, but a longer line will be drawn of the other. From UP, from 80 seats, if they become 120, and the Tamil Nadu stays at 39 or whatever is the figure. So that so the debate is very, very hot. In fact, I was to give a lecture, Mr. Mani Shankar Ayer's father's memorial lecture, which got postponed because of the bad weather in Chennai 2 months ago. I had prepared my lecture for that, and from that lecture, I've now made 3 different articles. The second is about this. Third is what is the impact of both these things on women's reservation. Parliament building has been extended. A larger hall is available, which can accommodate 888 members. So one thing is that one third accommodation easily can be distributed according. Easiest is out of 543, 1/3 should be given to women, but men will not agree to give up their established seat. Okay, then add more seats to give equal representative women. So these are issues which are very hot. They're going to be very, very hot in the next 3-4 months. And if you don't read Indian Express, please start subscribing to Indian Express. So I'm not only marketing my book, but also my favorite newspaper, Hindu and Indian Express, have interesting articles on all these subjects.
Get a second question. That what should
The people.
young people
Yes.
between 25 and 40?
You know, I have spent about 16, 17 many years in Department of Youth Affairs, Ministry of Youth Affairs. First as Joint Secretary Youth Affairs. There's the Director General of Nehru Yuva Kendra Sangathan with 3 lakh youth clubs. Then as a founder, director of Rajiv Gandhi National Institute of Youth Development in Siri Perambadur. And then Secretary Youth Affairs and Sport. So I have spent, and which is why I have done lots of programs for promotion of youth, including National Voters Day. I told you about. Now, we did a research study, KAPB, Knowledge, Attitude, Behavior and Practice Survey of young people. Why is it they do not vote?
Not about voting. He's asking about representation in.
No,
as-
I'm saying that. Abhi voting.
Why can't they contest? Is what he's asking.
No, yeah, correct. Okay, all right. I'll cut short the other thing. It is up to the political parties to give a ticket to young voters. So now, and political parties can be pressurized by the youth groups. You know, if you go demand protest outside political party offices, they give ticket. Now, Mamata Banerjee gave tickets to women, 40% women, and 39% women even were returned, and they came to Vidhan Sabha and to Parliament. It's a question of giving tickets. Give tickets to youth, they will win. And she has given ticket to 25-year-old, 27-year-old, 2-3 young MPs also. It is all because to expect election commission and law to come in, it has to be the political pressure and the political will of the people, which can only be influenced by public opinion. and the youth organization should go and demand. And I'm sure if they find that the youth have more chances of winning because you have no baggage, you have no previous bad record, with the result, people will accept you more easily. If this point goes home, they'll give more tickets to young people. But you are absolutely right.
Yeah, thank you for the discussion, sir. Sir, you mentioned about the challenge caused by 2023 CEC's selection law, where the PM and a cabinet minister and leader of opposition choose election commissioner. Do you think this system will continue in future since it gives more power to the ruling government? And although the opposition is against it now, do you think they would really change it if they come to power?
Good question. Number one, this although they have passed this act, but the matter of bipartisan selection of election commissioners is still with the Supreme Court. Supreme Court had given an interim order at that point. You must make a law. So all the parties are back in the Supreme Court, and Supreme Court has to have the last word. Hopefully, it will happen. But whether the parties will change, our track record is that no party want to give up anything. So because they also benefit the confusion with the economic, money, power, and everything, the total confusion. They don't want to change anything. We can only hope for the best. I feel that voters have to be more conscious. Voter education, election commission can do voter education, which we are doing very successfully. But we cannot really influence your decision. That decision making has to come to you from media, from political leaders, from academics, from researchers, why it is important, and also inspirational examples. How New Zealand can throw up a prime minister who is only 30 something. So many countries, 25, 30, they are becoming heads of government. So why is it that India is lagging behind? We need to have a discussion, debate, and maybe form a pressure group to create public opinion and influence the party's decision.
Thank you, Mr. Qureshi. Thank you. I wanted to ask how many voters are aware of NOTA, because I don't know whether it has been brought forward as much as it
Well,
ought to be. And I have a request. Voter education, can it please start before children turn 18? Uh, you know, please let high school students also understand what
good.
the EC is about.
Yeah, yeah.
Thank you.
Very good point, madam. Nota, in some places, Nota has got pretty sizable vote, but unfortunately, it doesn't create any impact because legal position is it does not create right to reject. If 99% people vote and for Nota, one votes for your husband, Gabby, my friend, for us, he is the winner. 99 are like blank votes. So with the result, people also say, okay, what is the Nota, what kind of impact it is making, So people are also losing interest because right to reject has not been created by when the Supreme Court ordered this. Because, and there is a good legal mind sitting here, and we also applied our mind because if Nota rejects none of the above, all get rejected. Now, because there are criminals there are people, billionaires there, so money, power, and everything, but there may be some innocent people like you and me. Why should we become victim of Nota? Because somebody has rejected all of them because of the top 3, 4 being criminals, therefore reject the entire panel. So you're the man at the bottom who is a professor from the university, just fresh, very honest man, social worker. Why should they be nice? So that is where Supreme Court also is in a dilemma. They cannot declare it as rejected. Yes, very good question. But first, the second part of her, one was Nota.
Education in high schools.
Yeah, yeah, you are absolutely right. Actually, we did that in voter education. यूपी में तो इतना beautiful हुआ कि हमने छोटे छोटे बच्चों को कि we gave them education and through the teachers कि look, if you see your parents conversing and say कि हमने तो कभी वोट नहीं दिया, हम नेता चोर हैं, तो उनको पकड़ लेना, तो कहना कि साहब आप वोट देने क्यों नहीं गए थे, you should go and vote. And some teachers said if the children bring certificate that they force the parents to vote, 5 marks will be added to their something. So actually we involved young people and they did a great job. And UP में dramatic high turnout हुआ था because of involvement of young people, even very, very young children, because they are the future voters.
So
Yeah,
I have
yeah, एक point इन्होंने the
first past the post. I think we need to spend another
all right.
seminar on that.
All right. So next month on this date we'll meet here again.
So I have a question since I have the mic and the moderator's position. But so is the failure to prosecute people who are spending beyond the limit? I mean, the limit itself is a question because the limit is, to be perfectly honest, very laughable. The limit set by the election commission, right? I mean, because I think except the commission, nobody else believes that candidates are spending only the amount set by the commission, either in legislative assembly or parliamentary elections. But why has the election commission failed to prosecute candidates who are spending more? And isn't that the reason why this this money power is increasing?
Please question your moderator because his first part of the question was wrong. Election Commission has no role. The Election Commission doesn't decide the limit. It is decided by the government, law ministry. So we have no role in that. And the current limit is 95 lakhs for Lok Sabha. But there the tragedy is that you can't spend more than 95, but your party can spend 20 crores on you. To what purpose does the ceiling serve? Zero. And I've been demanding, the simultaneous election के पीछे प्राइम मिनिस्टर का रीजन क्या था कि बहुत पैसा खर्च होता है, करेक्ट? टाइम ऑफ द पॉलिटिशियन बड़ा खर्च होता है, एब्सोल्युटली करेक्ट. वर्क कम टू स्टैंड स्टिल, नॉट एंटायरली करेक्ट. I think solution is in your hand. Last estimate 2024 election was 1 lakh crore were spent by all candidates and parties together. I said put a ceiling on political party expenditure. Now, if you can spend 95 of your own, okay, party can also spend another 95. Immediately from 1 lakh crore, it will come down to 10,000 crores. So if expenditure was the thing, there is a solution, you talk about it. Now, I have mentioned in my book, An Undocumented Wonder, The Making of the Great Indian Election. Please go on Amazon. There is a chapter on money power in which I have listed 40 modus operandi of cheating. In fact, when I was writing the book, I was at a loss to give it a title. If I say 40 ways of cheating, so people will say, look, Chief Election Commission लोगों को cheating सिखा रहा है, 40 ways to cheat. So I said 40 ways, so stop cheating. So, the way money power is used, even a cup of tea is punishable offense, criminal offense. Cup of tea is a bribe. Here, 10,000 rupees are put into your account. Now, people are spending money. Now, I had set up in my inaugural press conference, I gave myself 2 challenges: voter apathy, which I dealt with, and money power, for which I set up 2 different divisions. Initially, we had great success. Later on, they came up with different modus operandi, and politicians have come and told us on our face, "Hey, look, I spent 20 crores, 10 crores, catch me if you can." Now, election commission's dilemma is a legal dilemma. So many lawyers here that law requires evidence. I know that you spent 10 crores, but I have no evidence. How would I prosecute you? हमारे मुंह पे आके हमको insult करते हैं कि we did it, catch us if you can. So, unfortunately, election commission does a lot of catching. So many raids on the farmhouses from there, and for instance, interesting ways of money is abused. Cup of tea is a crime. We came across a wedding party where 4,000 guests were there and liquor flowing and chicken flying. And one observer got curious and went inside to greet the bride and bridegroom. Wedding party. There was no bride, no bridegroom. And this kind of bogus wedding, because we found all the mundan ceremonies, birthdays of nieces, grandnieces, they all happen around this time. We try to control as much as we could. We have seized thousands of crores of rupees, but they're different. And ambulance में पैसा जाता था. डायरेक्ट डीजी पुलिस की गाड़ी में पॉलिटिशियन का पैसा जाता था. अब डीजी पुलिस की गाड़ी को कौन रोकेगा? We said रुकेगी. We started checking. because our party flying squad consists of not only police but income tax and others. We found money. Ambulance. So we said, okay, look, don't stop the ambulance, because there was those days several incidents happened because of VIP route. Some ambulance stopped, the patient died in 15 minutes. So we don't want to be accused of that kind of atrocity. Follow the ambulance to the hospital when the patient has been taken out, then search. So we try, it's a cat and mouse game which we are playing all the time. Sometimes we win, sometimes they win. And but I must admit that is the biggest unsolved problem in a clean election, money power.
A big thank you to Dr. Qureshi for this lecture. It was very enlightening. I'm sure lots of you had other questions, but I think we can catch him afterwards.